In this video, we are going to be using a couple of different functions, and one of them is actually going to be a new one we've not looked at before, but predominantly we'll be using the VLOOKUP function to be able to help us identify if a desired list of names or a desired name is present in a different list. And for our example we have here, we've got 5 names listed in column A, and we want to do a check to see if each of these names is existing in column F. And if they are, we want to just identify clearly, yes, they are present, or if they're not there, we want to indicate, no, they're not. So we can easily identify the 2 people who are missing and maybe therefore need to be added to the list. So we're going to be using VLOOKUP. We're also going to be using the if statement, and we're also going to be using the new function, which is error. So we'll go through each of those parts as we need to look at them to help build out this formula. But hopefully this will serve as a really useful video for helping you when you're trying to compare data. So often with VLOOKUP, well not often, but when using VLOOKUP, you're obviously returning information from a different sheet or a different table. Whereas this time we're going to be using it just as that proof of concept to identify if something is present or not. What's obviously really useful, especially if you've got some data, a data set that's growing, or you're receiving information for others so that you can see how many more you're missing or what you have got already. So let's jump in straight away. So the first part we're going to do is use VLOOKUP. So all we need to do is enter our VLOOKUP function, open our brackets, and then so the lookup value we have is going to be the name, what we've got in row 2 here, what relates to the row we're currently in. So we're going to look up that value in column F. So there's only just the one column in our table that we're searching for, or our table array should I say. So we just need to enter the number 1, and then at the end here we're going to do an exact match. So we've got either true or false options we can do here, and we're now going to just introduce you to a different method of doing this. So you don't actually have to type in the word true or false, you can actually just do a 0 or a 1. So the number 1 would relate to a true or an approximate match, and the 0 is a false, so an exact match. So again, just a little tiny, not saving you amples of time, but another shortcut you can do rather than typing in false is just to add a 0 at the end of the formula. Close brackets and hit enter, and you can see our VLOOKUP has obviously identified that Tim is present in the list because it's returned the name Tim. So hopefully this isn't too confusing, because obviously normally with VLOOKUPs we're looking at one value in one column and returning a value from a different column rather than seeing exactly the same. But all what's happened is, just to recap, is our VLOOKUP function is basically saying look for Tim in column F, and where you find Tim, again, just bring back whatever value is in that first column. So obviously it's going to bring back exactly the same result. If we copy this down, we can see that that populates for all the others. So Tim, Ellie and Harry are all present in our list in column F, but for Josh and Steph we've actually got an error message, and we're getting the error message because they're not present in the list. So the VLOOKUP function has not been able to find that name, therefore it's given us an error message to say couldn't find the name, so there's something gone wrong. But that's fine. That's where it's going to build upon this function to give us a more cleaner result rather than these error messages. So the first thing we then want to do is we're going to use the isError function. So in order to do that, we're going to put, and well, before we put it in there, what isError is going to do is, for all the examples where we've currently received a name, so for Tim, Ellie and Harry, what it's going to do is, when you use isError, the purpose of the function is to say, is there an error present? So for Tim, Ellie and Harry, there is no error, so it's going to give us a false result. And if for Josh and Steph, because we have got 2 errors, there is an error present, so it's going to give us a true result. So we're just sort of tailoring this function, or the formula put in so far, so rather than getting different names, we're going to get either a true or a false statement. So in order to do that, all we need to do is go at the beginning of our function between the equal sign and the VLOOKUP and type in isError, just like that. And as you can see from our prompt, it says checks whether a value is an error and returns true or false. So open our brackets, because we need to have a bracket between our isError and our VLOOKUP, because the VLOOKUP is going to be within the isError function. Go to the end of your function and just do another bracket like this. So this is how your function should now look. And that's all we need to do. We don't need to define the true and false. All we need to do is enter that function of isError around our existing VLOOKUP. And we can hit enter. And now you can see that we've got false, because we know that Tim was found, therefore there's no error present. As we copy that down, as expected, you can see that we've got Josh and Steph are saying true, because we know there is an error because they're not present. So in theory, this is obviously at the moment, it's great because it's telling us some information, but it's a bit backwards, because we want this to say, we want to be getting a positive for Tim because we know he's there. So this is where we're now going to bring in the if statement to help us tailor that slightly more. So let's just stop a minute and have a look again at the function we have at the moment. So we've got our existing VLOOKUP in the middle here, what's doing a VLOOKUP of our name in column A into column F, and if it's present in column F, it returns that name. If that name isn't present in column F, we're going to get an error message, and this is why we've used the isError function, because if an error is present, we want to get a true result, and if an error is not present, so the person does appear in the list, we're going to get a false. So we're now going to use if to tailor that false and true statement to give us a yes or no in the correct purpose we're looking for. So back to the beginning of our function, and this time we're going to do if. So let's put equals if and open our brackets. So you can see this is now how it looks. So this whole existing function or formula we've got in here, so from isError all the way to the end of this last bracket, is our logical test. So all we need to do is go to the end and do a comma. So for this one, what we need to do is remember that what the if statement does is it's looking for, obviously, it's performing a logical test to get a true and false answer. Our logical test at the moment is already outputting that true or false. We just need to turn it around the other way. So if we get a true result from our function we have here, then we know that there is an error present. So if an error is present, we want to return the answer of no. So let's do no like that. And the reason we're doing that is because if an error is present, we're going to get a true result from our isError. But obviously, if the error is present, then it means the person doesn't exist in the list. So as you can see at the top of column B, our question is in list ? So if we know there's an error and that person's not there, we want to return the result that says no. So when you answer that question in list, you'll get a no for all the people that aren't present in the list. Sorry, that seems quite, hopefully that sinks in quite obvious, and I'm not just sort of waffling there, but I'm just really trying to make you understand and help you understand what we're trying to achieve. So we can do no there. And then obviously if there is a false, so there's no error present, then yes, that person is in the list because there was no error when we were trying to find them. So let's then do a yes, and make sure both of these are in quotations, close our brackets, and then we can hit enter. And then as we pull that down, we can now see our final result as desired. So for Tim, Ellie and Harry, we can see yes, they are in the list because they've got a yes beside their names. But for Josh and Steph, who we know aren't in that list, we're going to have a no. They're not in that list. And that's our function, what it looks like at the top here. So we can see, and what we might be able to do, yeah, if span that down, not that it helps a great deal, but you can just see how this function now looks. So the first part was this VLOOKUP function in the middle here, to identify or to do the search for that value to see if it existed. The second part was then obviously entering the isError, so it then looked like this bit you now have highlighted here. So this gave us the true or false. And then we used the last part here of the if statement to then convert the true and false into the correct reflection of if that person is available in that list or not. And there you go, and that is the basically how you can use the VLOOKUP function with obviously the if statement and isError to as a checking point, shall we say, to identify if your desired values are present in another list. We hope that video was great use to you and you've got many scenarios in which you can use that. Hopefully this also now gives you the option to be able to, when you're cross-checking your data or just doing your sort of self-validation, another method you can use just to ensure that everything is present where it should be. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit that bell notification button so you're notified of each of our new videos when they come out onto YouTube. As always, links to our website and social media can be found in the description below this video, so please do check those out. And if you have any questions at all, please either drop us a comment below this video or reach out to us in one of the links in the description. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.